Okay, can it get easier to resist temptation if you resist temptation more often? And can it get harder to resist temptation if you give in to temptation more often?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, it's like when you're dealing like with addictions, right? Like oftentimes the longer you go being free, the easier it is to stay free of that addiction, right?
Okay.
Like the longer I go, without abusing a substance.
Can resisting temptation be a habit that you form? Okay.
Correct. And so whereas on the other hand, if I keep giving in to temptation, all it's doing is just probably numbing me to the fact that, that's what I'm doing is wrong. But it's like, but I'm just going to keep on doing it,
But if I resist temptation, wouldn't that mean that the devil would stop tempting? Like if I resist it too many times and the mission is futile for the devil, wouldn't he just stop trying to tempt me with that?
I think, again,
and pick something else? I
think it's probably like the devil understanding our own bents and our own inclinations to those things.
Okay.
Like oftentimes we become, we repeat sin patterns based upon something that's going on in our own lives, right? The own inclinations of our own hearts.
What is a sin pattern?
Like when we enter into like habitual sins.
Okay.
So like whether that can be like addictions, right? Like substance abuse or porn or those kind of things.
Like floral or plaid?
No, not floral plaid. But habits that we have created where we are constantly engaging in sin, right? Okay. And again, it can be like those kind of things. It's
not like I do this sin and then this sin makes me do this sin and then this sin.
Like a domino effect kind of thing. No, I'm not talking about like a domino effect. I'm talking about like a repeated.
Okay.
Repeated
That's what
action.
A sin pattern is.
Yeah, like a repeated action.
Okay.
And so to me, that's like the habitual sins that we get into, and so we keep repeating the same sin over and over and over again. Okay. I do think that, and then let's say we stop that and we resist that for a long time. But I think the devil still knows that's been there, so that still can be a hook, if you were, in us, or a chink in our armor, wherever you want call it that, or
like when we get real low, that might pop up again.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden I'm battling, something else, right? I get laid off from a job, a relationship falls apart, whatever, right?
Okay.
Then it's like all of that stuff can come screaming back up to the front.
Okay.
And so I think those things can happen. And I've seen it with individuals who become really successful and actually don't know how to handle the success well. Those things will creep back up into their lives.
I hope I get a chance in this life to experience not knowing how to handle success well.
That's what it is. That's a goal in life for you. Yeah. I've become so successful.
God, I want to be so rich and broken.
It's terrible. Hopefully by the time you experience success, Nate, then we'll be able to be like, yeah, good.
Yeah, that was easy. What was anyone complaining about?
Right. Not a big deal here.
Yeah.
And so I do think that can happen. Yes. And I do think, but I will say also that I do think the enemy will begin to attack from other avenues as well.
All right. So if the devil is just going to keep, like if I plug one hole and resist that temptation long enough, he's just going to come at me from another angle or with something else.
Sure.
Why even try to plug the hole? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think that
why not just stay here the whole time?
Here's my sin.
Yeah.
And I've gotten really good at it.
And I'll resist it, and then it'll just let a little bit in. And then, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just keep that flowing so he doesn't move on to something else. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got what you're saying.
Like, if I'm just going to be putting up with this my whole life, why even try?
And the reason we don't just, stay in the same sin is because I think when, all right, plug one hole to use your reference there, then, what's happening is we're forming character in different areas. And that may sound like exhausting, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I think when we grow in character here, and then the devil begins attacking us over here, and then we begin to grow in character there. In other words, all of it is actually causing us to look more like Jesus. And so as we grow in our character, we look more Christ-like. And so I think that's one of the reasons we don't just go, well, I'm just going to stay with this sin. No, I'm going to get free of this sin, be free of this sin, have character in this area. I understand I'm going to get tempted.
And start sinning in this way.
And then I get tempted in other ways. And then it's another growth point for me. And so I think that all of it is, for me, I see it through the lens of growth and the lens of character formation and Christ being formed in me.
Okay, but that would only make sense if... Okay, so does resisting temptation become a habit that is easier to... just resisting any temptation in general, is that a thing that people get better at doing? Because what's the point of if I'm good at resisting temptation 80% of the time, and then the devil stops trying to attack me with this one, and now I'm good at resisting this temptation 80% of the time, who cares?
Right. But so all right, let's say the one over here, the issue of lust, or let's say pornography, right? I'm not dealing with that anymore. I've become free from it. Okay, so now my mind is free from all of that stuff, right?
Right. But now it's being tempted with this other thing, so that fills the hole.
Well, okay, but because I've overcome this, and so my mind is not stuck on this over here, right? Okay, you're right. Now it could become something on this side of now I'm dealing with a temptation of always okay. One of the things that I'll use a personal thing for me.
All right.
One of the things that happened with me was that when I entered into confessing and freedom of pornography years ago, I began to gain weight, right?
Okay.
And it was like trading dopamine.
Because you weren't working out as much while watching all that porn?
Well, no. It was like exchange. No,
you weren't using that energy anymore?
No, well, the porn. No. The porn was done.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. No, the porn was done. And so now it's like, okay, but what am I, because now my brain is still searching for dopamine releases. Okay. Right? And so now there is a neurological thing, a physiological thing that's actually happening within me of needing dopamine releases. And so it's like, okay, food becomes the answer, right? Okay. And the enemy knows that is what I'm getting to. So now the enemy's playing into that. Okay.
So how is that growth?
Yeah.
Why not just stick with the porn?
Right. Because
I don't get it.
I understand because both of them are sin, right?
Right.
And so, but for me, this over here, pornography, was way more detrimental, both in my own mind and my relationship with my wife, right? All of that.
So there's sins that can mess up your life more, and the devil's going to start with all of those. And then move on to the next ones.
I don't know if it's a sin that's going to mess up your life more. Let's start with those, but I do think that
I'm just confused on how this is growth.
Right.
Why is moving from
one to the
other growth?
Because now we've grown here. That's actual growth here, right?
Okay.
Free of porn. Okay. And so now understanding sexuality in a healthier way, viewing sexuality in a healthier way. And for me, it's health, it's growth in all those areas. So now coming over here to the food for thing, right? And so now it's like, now we're going to, and I understand what you're saying, because it's like you're replacing one with the other.
Right.
Both of them unhealthy for you. And so I'm not denying the unhealthy part, but it's like, okay, over here, now can I learn can I learn self-control in this area, And so there's like there's the
so there's like what?
So there's an ability to grow and look more like Christ in resisting temptation and not having to just always move or be or move towards just the things of the flesh, right?
Okay.
And so I do think that there's and maybe it's like you're going, well, exchanging lust of the eyes for lust of the flesh, right? Almost like that's what we're exchanging.
That's what I'm not getting. So how is that growth?
Well, because then hopefully you can become, all right, here, let's deal with this.
Will that take faster? Is there a finite amount of areas?
I don't think
I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I think we're growing forever, honestly, Nate.
But how is that growing? That's my whole point of my question.
Okay.
I don't get how that's growing. Why don't I just stay here,
right,
and try to resist enough of the time so that the devil doesn't move on to something else?
Right. Yeah, but okay, but you
you get what I'm saying?
I understand, but you're also just absolutely cutting off every ability to become more Christ-like in other areas, whether that's your, so we talk about pornography, we talked about eating, we talked about temper, we talked about, like how we treat other people, all those kind of things. Like, I think there's just areas of gaining Christ likeness in Christ's heart, in Christ's perspective in all of those areas, and becoming more honoring, toward him.
Okay.
And toward others. And so, I get what you're saying. It's like, well, there's always going to be sin. Just let there be a sin that I know. Is
right.
that, kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
But that's not what the Lord would have for us.
A sin I've spent a long time learning to
hang out with.
Yeah. To just, yeah.
No big deal.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's a terrible perspective. Mm-hmm. And so, because I think that
I feel like that's a perspective people have, though.
Sure. Like, almost like, this is my battle, Yeah. Yeah. This is what I deal with.
Right.
Over here. And because I don't.
Or is that a deal with the devil?
Yeah, because I think that here's a problem. I think there's one thing when I'm battling with areas of sin, right? Like, just across the board, like just sin in general. But when one area is completely ruling my life, okay, that's highly problematic.
I need to stop that,
right,
and find some other area to completely rule my life.
Well, no, I think that what we're hoping for is that there's no habitual sins that all of those habitual sins cease, that they stop to exist, that there's no one thing that's just constantly ruling me. Okay. And
I guess that's what I'm saying is it easier if I'm going to ask the Lord to help me stop doing whatever thing I'm being the most tempted with,
right?
Is that going to help me deal with the next?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
With the next thing that I'm the most tempted with.
Yes. Because I think you could see it.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
I think you can see it, call it out for what it is, right?
Okay.
And you've learned certain habits or principles to apply to this area as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that helps.
Yes.
Okay.